one.
Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, welcome to another show. We got a bunch of sugar honey iced tea to talk about. Nancy Grace news is incredibly crazy. I cannot believe what they just showed as a new update in that story. We're going to talk about this Minnesota CorePower Yoga class, which made my blood boil the other day. So we have to talk about that. The halftime show continues to be a fallout in this country. Christopher Thompson should have been sentenced to 65 years in prison, but a nut job that called herself a judge gave him half the time for all kinds of crazy crimes. And then we're going to get to the Olympic individuals who all going to burn somewhere very hot. And if you see them when you pass, you didn't make it to heaven. That's all I'm going to say. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go on the day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Man, that intro is terrible when I'm traveling. I don't know how I can't get my intro right. It's all sluggish. But y'all love me anyway, and I love you back. I'm right here in D.C. I had to go to a specific event. It's a isolated event. I guess Don Lemonhead is going to be there at this event. You know, that's going to be spicy. I don't know what they were thinking. They going to put me in the event with Don Lemonhead. He better not say nothing to me or it's going to be, you know what I mean? He's going to get embarrassed. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to embarrass him. All right, so let me get to, first of all, I want to tell you guys to follow me on all my social media platforms. You just put in The Officer Tatum. You can find me everywhere. I'm on Substack, Podcast Network. Everything you are on and you consume content from, Brandon Tatum is there. Big shout out to Verdict. Big shout out to Synergy. Y'all already know all the stuff I got, man. Just go get in the description section and find what you love. All right, let's get to Savannah Guthrie because this has been a crazy story. The news has been asking me almost every day from almost every news outlet except the leftist nut job ones to comment on Savannah Guthrie's case because I was a former police officer in Tucson. Obviously, this happened in Tucson, or at least she was. I don't know what happened to her, but allegedly she was kidnapped or she was murdered, whichever the case may be, up in the Catalina foothills in Tucson. Now, just for the sake of correctness, I was a Tucson police officer, and so this is out just north of Tucson's jurisdiction. So the Pima County Sheriff's Office is handling this case, but if there's any help or assistance that is needed from local municipalities, then Tucson Police Department will be a help. Also, Marana PD will be helpful as well. So this is a very, very broad investigatory case or investigative case. And there's a lot of breaking news coming out. And this one is the biggest. I don't know if this puts a wrench in the narrative or is this consistent with the narrative that I believe. Let me just put it in perspective real quick and then we're going to play this clip. But allegedly, we have video, which you can see to the left or right of me, depending on how you're looking at it, of a guy who has a mask on and gloves on damaging the Ring camera. Now, I'm just going to tell you what my instincts are saying. My instincts could be wrong. I'm not God. I don't know what happened. But what I will say is that this whole scenario seems almost as if, I'm not going to say it's staged, but it seems like there's more to this. And this is a ploy to deviate from what actually happened to Savannah's mother. Like the ransom note and all of that other stuff, I think it's a deviation. I think it's a distraction. I think there's something more sinister that happened here. And I think that the sinister behavior happened to someone who either knew them or was very close to them. Now, I don't want to get sued for defaming anybody, but I mean, obviously in an investigation, the first person you look at is the people who saw her alive last. And we all know who saw her alive last. And we already know that the investigators have gone to their house. And that is the son-in-law and Savannah Guthrie's sister. I'm not saying she did it because I don't know. But I do believe that somebody close to them had to have been acting in this. With that being said, let me play the doggone new clip and not run my mouth too long. Roll it.
very early on is that they were hoping that there would be data behind that camera. From what we were told by Kurt Knudsen, our cyber guy who helps us with this, analyze this stuff, he told me, and he told us when we were talking to him, that this could be what he had referred to as unseen data. What does that mean? That means that when you have these door ring apps, they collect data constantly and they're trying to figure out what is it that the user wants to see. And what do we want to see? We want to see somebody walking up to our door. We want to see if a pet is outside. We don't want to see the leaves rustling. We don't want to see minor things out there. But the app is sifting through that. But as it's sifting, it's collecting data. So it's not something that you're seeing as a user all the time, but it exists. And the FBI has been digging through mountains of this type of data to try to get to this exact moment. And Director Patel says that that they believed it had been lost, corrupted, or inaccessible due to a variety of factors. And through partnership with private corporations, they were able to extract these images. And John, we just hope that this is critical to helping solve this case. John?
And so let me speak to this real quick. Go back to the image. I want people to know right away, somebody recognized this person. I'm telling you, right away, somebody recognized this person. Give me the image where he's just standing right in front of the door. Immediately, if you know this person, you know the way they stand, you know their build, you know proportionality. Somebody knows who this person is specifically. And if this is somehow, I'm not saying it is, if this is Savannah Guthrie's brother-in-law, immediately they know exactly who he is based on the way he's built. I'm not saying that's him. I don't believe that he did this initially, but I'm not ruling out the possibility. But this all seems very bizarre to me, that a person of any type of calculated measure will show up to a residence looking like this. Why would you dress like this? Why would you dress with a ski mask with your eyes out? I mean, that means that it's not well planned. That means that somebody tried to stage what appeared to be an attempt to conceal identity. When to be honest, it probably wasn't the case. I'm telling you, I'm very suspicious on some of the things that have come on. But Dan Bongino has something to say. No, let's go to clip 101 real quick, because I want to play Savannah Guthrie's last message. If you haven't seen it, I want to play it real quick. And I want to get to Dan Bongino because he has something pretty unique to say about it. Nancy Grace has something to say about it. And I want you to hear both of their takes. Roll the clip.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
All righty, let's go to Dan Bongino's clip.
So what's going on right now? I see three possibilities, Sean, and I'm not going to weight them. These are three possibilities. If you apply Occam's razor, I see could apply. The first would be, obviously, it's a kidnapping. That was an intended kidnapping for a ransom payment. That would be the first possibility. Again, I'm not weighting any of them. The second possibility would be this was just a crime that went awry. Someone was at the house. Maybe it was a burglary. Something went bad, and that you've got some bad actors committing another crime unrelated. In other words, requesting a ransom for something you didn't do just to take advantage of a situation like this. The third possibility, again, this is and this is where I think you have to kind of think outside of the box, is, especially given some of the messaging that we've seen lately, is the possibility that there may have been some kind of maybe a medical emergency or something, and maybe this was not a kidnapping. And I say that only because, and again, I'm not weighting these possibilities. We're just, when you can't find someone at a crime scene like this right away within the first couple of days, you either have really good surgical type operators, or the story you've been told or you may have believed may not be the story. I mean,
okay, just a little bit of Dan Bongino. Did his clip get cut off, or that was intentional?
That was it, Brandon. Yeah.
Okay, I guess that was the end of his clip. You know, a little bit of what Dan Bongino said at the end, I think he also don't want to get sued by somebody. A medical emergency and mama go off and the coyotes got her or something. I don't know what he's saying with that. I think that there's blood trails all the way out to the garage and she's nowhere to be found. I think that somebody harmed her and took her. That's why they was looking in the septic tank and other things like that. Let's go to Nancy Grace real quick. Clip 103, roll it.
What we saw in the last days is very concerning. We know that police, law enforcement, FBI, were going down a septic tank behind Nancy Guthrie's home. Country folks, like where I grew up, you have a septic tank. You're not on city water or city septic. So I don't know if the feds or the locals decided, hey, wait, we didn't check the septic tank. They went out with a long contraption. It looks like a pole, but I believe that there was a light or even a camera affixed to that for them to look around. Obviously, they were looking for a body, although cadaver dogs would certainly have led them to that point. And they have had scent dogs out there and possibly cadaver. But I think that's crossing T's, dotting I's. Another theory is that they were looking for something the perp, the alleged kidnapper, had flushed during the incident. They had well over 30 minutes in the home, which is very unusual. They felt very comfortable in there, didn't they, Sean? Didn't they? That they were going to be caught in there. But did they flush something, or did they drop something in the septic tank, like a weapon or some other object? Nothing was taken out that we could tell. The other concerning thing is that the law enforcement agents were back at the sister Annie's home. It was a late night visit. They were in there for over 3 hours, and media observed flash bulbs going off from one end of the house to the other, from the garage all the way to the other end of the house. What were they taking photos of in the middle of the night? And they came out with paper bags. Why paper? Because it's breathable. If you do plastic, you'll ruin DNA. You can also lose fingerprints in plastic. Paper bags and another UFED, a Celebrite. This is what I suggest. There's been a lot of speculation. You know what? Go hook up to a poly and be done with it. Everybody in the family, be an example. Hook yourself up to a poly. And I would have everybody at that church, every granny nanny, every FedEx, every Uber guy, every one of them taking a poly. And if you don't take a poly, you're at the top of my suspect list.
Only thing I disagree with her is polygraph tests can be cheated. Like if you're a good liar and you do a little bit of training, you work on your breath work, you can beat a polygraph test. So I don't really, and polygraph tests are like 80% accurate. So it's still a margin of error. Some people get incredibly nervous when they take a polygraph test and they end up failing the polygraph test. So I disagree with Nancy Grace on the polygraph test scenario, but I do think it's very interesting that they're going back to the sister's house. They're not going there collecting bags for no reason. And she made a good point on the paper bags. You only put wet DNA, blood sample stuff in paper bags. You don't put those things in plastic bags. So what evidence did they have, maybe soiled evidence or something that have DNA or blood on it, what evidence did they have that they decide to put in a paper bag? They're not putting mail in a paper bag. They're not putting, I don't know, film. You say somebody have a camcorder to film in a paper bag. They're putting certain things in a paper bag for certain preservation reasons. And I said it at the very beginning. The last people that seen her alive was the brother-in-law and the sister. We have seen 100 times on television where people are crying on TV and saying, oh, my kids are missing, or so-and-so is missing, and the person was the one that did it. A lot of times these people are so arrogant that they want to be a part of the crime that they committed. I'm not saying specifically that she did it. I'm just saying I'm suspicious that they may have been involved to some degree. And it does not mean that you can't go and hire somebody to do it, which means that you had the intent to do it. You the one seen her alive last. You know when she got home. You know what her routines are. You know nobody's going to call the police because you know where the camera's at. You know, who would know unless you were stalking her house, which would be on camera? How will you know where all the cameras are located? How would you know that her Ring camera isn't connected internally through a hard wire? How would you feel so comfortable in a house that there's not a life alert or something that's going off that the police will come get you? Unless you had every reason to believe that you're safe in her house and you could take your time and methodically go through a process of doing something. Whether or not she had been murdered and you took your time to figure out a plan to get out of there, make up a lie, or it was spontaneous, you rushed her out of there, after being in there for a prolonged period of time. I don't know, but it's very interesting. I got a couple clips that I want to play because I got other things that I want to get to, like this freaking CorePower Yoga place, which I had to talk about, even though the story is old. I got to say something about it because it's silly. Here's a few other clips that we have that are conflicting stories. Here's a homicide detective saying that he thinks this was a professional group that may have done this. Roll the clip.
Behind the scenes, you got to remember, this was probably a 20,000 square foot house with a lot of area to cover. So this was a professional group that came in under darkness. So there's a lot of areas in this house that needed to be processed. And that's why every day there was something else they came back to do. This all should have been done from the beginning. And that at times could frustrate a family. Being involved in 1,000 homicide investigations, you always have family that want to know what's going on. Why is there no movement? And behind the scenes, not everything you can tell them what's going on.
Yeah, Pat, you used the phrase professional group. This seems very clean. It was done at a very professional level, or were there just mistakes made? Why do you say professional group?
You got to remember, they did it under cover of darkness. So it's not one or two people. It needs to be a couple and 3 to 4 people that came in. They have to search the house to make sure they have no idea. Even if you do a surveillance, they have no idea who may have been in the house. So whoever done this went through the house first and also had to stand by with Nancy. So that's why I think it was done professionally.
And all respect to the FBI detective guy who said he was involved in 1,000 homicides. However, I would add to the professionality of it, or whatever the case may be, is that there could be an inside job, meaning that you hire some people to do it, but nobody's at the house. You know that she needs medication. You know that Nancy or Savannah Savannah has money. You know how she's going to react. You can encourage her to get on TV. You get what I'm saying? If it was somebody in the family, that all that could be accomplished by just hiring a team of guys that know there's cameras here, there's cameras there. Nobody's going to show up. There's no 911 calls. If you go at this time, she's normally asleep. She's normally, doing her thing at this time. This is her bedroom. The detectives will know if things were disheveled or if things were. I'm telling y'all this, and then I'm moving on. One more video, then I'm moving on. The detectives that went into that house, I think they already know what happened. Now, they're not going to tell you because they still need to have a thorough investigation so they can put the person that they believe did this away for a long time. They cannot skimp on it. So they got to go through the rigmarole, the process. But I think as soon as they enter the house, they can tell immediately, was this a botched robbery? Was this a professional hit? Or was this a pre-planned thing with somebody who may have already had inside knowledge about the layout of the house and who was in the house, and it was very methodical? They can tell by doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these home invasion, murder investigations. Immediately, they can tell if there's forced entry, the lack of forced entry. They can tell if everything is disheveled in every room, meaning that the house was ransacked, or they could tell that the person went straight to this room and didn't even leave a trace. They already know all of this stuff as soon as they enter into the building. And then I would argue that they already have an idea of who the suspect is. From the very first day that they went, they had an idea. Not saying that they knew exactly who it was, but they had an idea. But they're not going to tell you that. I was a public information officer, a PIO. I was a spokesperson for the police department. And we got training to not tell you who did it, even though we know. Because we want the people who did it to think we're not on their trail. We don't need them to panic and get desperate and start doing things. What we're doing is we're watching their every move. We're seeing how they move and shake, because we know that this person probably did it. We know that they don't know we're on to them, so they're not going to flee. We're keeping a surveillance on them, but we're going to watch the way they move from here to here to here, because that's going to be a clear sign that they know or they're trying to cover up something by returning back to the scene, by going and setting certain things in their bank account. All of the above are things that law enforcement officers are already privy to that the criminal don't know. That's why we don't put it out there, and we want everybody to think we don't have nothing, and we already ready to prosecute the person. All right, one more clip from an investigator who believed that he doesn't believe in Nancy's take as far as, you know, the polygraph and all that stuff. Hold on. No, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. He don't believe that Nancy Guthrie was taken at all, is what he said. Roll a clip.
I don't think she was kidnapped. We would have heard, listen, there would have been a video, there would have been a photograph, there would have been something, a lock of hair, a drop of blood, something mailed to somebody so they could verify, yes, in fact, these people have my mother. Kidnappers want to get paid quickly. They don't want this thing to linger. If you're negotiating with another drug dealer in South America somewhere, it could go on for a few weeks, a month, until they get bored and decide this is not worth it. And it's either pay up or we're going to kill this person. And it's always a negotiation, right? The first figure they throw out is never what actually gets paid, like any good business deal. There's going to be a negotiation, but it's going to be a fast and hard one. And there's been no negotiations. No one's called up and said, hey, where's my money? That hasn't happened. For the simple reason is nobody's kidnapped her, I don't think. If you're a good kidnapper, you're going to grab the medication on the way out the door, because you're going to have to take care of her. You're going to have to keep her alive and healthy, right? So it shows a total lack of planning. The total lack of forensic evidence of anyone being in that house, of grabbing her, is another clue that she wasn't kidnapped. You know, you walk in somewhere, you're going to leave something. I don't care who you are. You're going to leave some DNA, some footprints, some fingerprints, blood if anyone gets cut on glass or whatever. You know, listen, the FBI is great at crime scene processing. They've been processing this thing for, 6, 7, 8 days now. They've got nothing. If they had something, we'd have heard about it. The problem was it became public very quickly. And my guess is the Russians or Nigerians said, oh, hey, here's an opportunity to make a few dollars. We don't have a body. We don't have proof of anything. We're just going to hope that they panic and pay us. I don't think anybody in position of authority believes she's alive at this point. And no one wants to say it publicly. This is the problem, right? Listen, when you see the FBI in the roof a week later and helicopters have been filming that roof for nonstop for 7 days, we're reaching. They got nothing else to do. They've got nothing left. And someone said, hey, get up on the roof, take a look again. Yeah, they've got nothing. They've got no film. They got no evidence that she was taken by anybody at this point, other than some hokey ransom letters, which aren't saying anything except send us money to this untraceable account. I think, unfortunately, it's going to end badly. Mrs. Guthrie is probably going to be found deceased somewhere. I doubt she walked off and someone picked her up and, they're eating tea and cupcakes somewhere in Arizona area. I very much doubt it. I mean, she has medical issues. I think if she was taken, we'd pretty much know for sure at this point she was really taken.
I agree with a lot of what he said. I just so you guys know, some of the things I don't agree. I think they have more evidence and know more than what we think. But I do agree on a lot of what he said. I said this on television the other day. The ransom thing is just super bizarre. If you want to do this, you want to get paid. You don't want to do this just because to be cool, unless you're trying to take her and take her mother's life to prove a point to the world. That's a very different scenario than a ransom. If you want to do a ransom, you're gonna do it with somebody that's local, that don't have that big of a platform that you can throw the money at and say, look, we'll drop her off here. You don't want the attention from the government, the president, everybody in the world knowing about your case, because you're gonna get caught like that. And you don't want to get caught, you want to make money. And if you're going to do a ransom, you're going to send a ransom note to the person that you want the money from. You're not going to send it to TMZ and all these other mainstream media places where the whole world will know about it. And you haven't even communicated with Savannah Guthrie. No, proof of life. If you want to make some money, you got to keep the person alive. And then you take them with no medication. But he brought up a very interesting point that I haven't thought of, is that what's the alternative of her not being taken? They do have a blood trail. Could it have been a medical emergency or something that somebody did to her and they took her and threw her body? That's what I think happened. Anyway, y'all let me know in the comment section what you think actually happened. I think I'm going to go on Laura Ingram tonight to talk about this, I believe. And so some of these ideas are going to be brought up again on the news. Let's get to the Minneapolis CorePower Yoga place. And then we're going to get to the halftime show crap. And then we're going to talk about the guy, Christopher Thompson, that should have spent the rest of his life in prison, but some woke, black, nut job judge decided to get a boy less than half of the time that the jury originally gave him as a sentencing. And then we'll get to those Olympian nut jobs. All right, let's get to this yoga place. Now, I'm glad that they ended up, and I guess I can tell you this, spoiler alert, they ended up banning this nut job that came to this facility to talk trash and bully these employees. I want to say this very clearly. Y'all need to stop capitulating to these fools. If you come in my business and tell me why I don't post no anti-ICE stuff, I'm gonna probably cuss you out, and I gotta go to. I'll ask God for forgiveness later, but I'm probably gonna cuss you out and slap you and tell you to get out of my business. And don't you ever come back in here talking stupid like that, unless you want more of it. That's what I probably do. I'm kidding. I would never assault anybody unless they deserved it. Well, they probably deserve it, but unless I'm provoked. Okay, can I just say it like that? I don't want to get in trouble with nobody. But stop being wussies. Stop capitulating to these people. They cannot tell you what you do with your business. They're completely ridiculous, evil, desperate, stupid, uninformed folks. That's only one-sided. Because if they want you to push some anti-ICE stuff to stand with the community, well, there's people in the community that support ICE. Well, if they really care about being fair, push both. They're not pushing both. They're nut jobs. Quit listening to these people. Call the police and tell them to get up out your store. So let me just play the clip of this lady. This is the one that just made me lose my mind. And then the person who orchestrated this made a video on Instagram, and I'm going to play that. Roll it.
You're gonna put the ICE up sign back on the front door? Yeah, and we want you to take us to.
The biggest ask here, please let me know if you guys are feel differently. The biggest ask here is that CorePower is a major corporation. They're all over this country. The fact that they're staying silent about what is happening in Minneapolis, the fact that you guys are staying silent, that is complicit. That is not okay. People are being murdered and abducted and attacked here, and it is heinous. I'm a nurse. It kills me to see people getting hurt in our community. This is our community. It is like, that's what it is. It's silent. We can take our community elsewhere.
Time out. I don't know if it's a disease to be a dumb leftist white woman. I don't know if it's like some disease or something they eat or something. Is it the granola? I don't know what it is. How can this many women be that stupid? How could this many people be that stupid? They're clapping, saying that people are getting kidnapped and killed. What in the funnel cake are you talking about? Nobody's getting killed unless you hit an ICE agent with your car, or nobody's getting killed unless you assault an ICE agent with a gun on you. Nobody's getting killed or maimed or injured in any other city, in any other part of the country, except these nut jobs that coordinate efforts to thwart ICE from arresting criminals. I can't. My mind is burning thinking about how can adults be this stupid? I don't get it. You guys are empowered to waste your time to go to a yoga studio to shame them to make a comment about ICE when this is a fake thing in to start with. All right, finish the clip.
Elsewhere. So if it's going to hit it in the wallet, is that the only way that you guys are going to see it? Then so be it. We can get a yoga studio someplace else.
All right, let's go to the next clip. Yoga studio lady, who's a complete cat lady. This is her response on social media. And she was proud of this. Wrote a clip.
One night last week, a couple of friends let me know that CorePower Yoga had been silencing some of the instructors who wanted to talk about ICE and the current violence that is happening here in Minneapolis against our community. And also that corporate had asked the manager of the Northeast studio to take down a Keep Out ICE sign. So I just went to class on Sunday morning.
Time out.
I went to
Time out. Let me stop it real quick. This is a yoga studio. You go there to do yoga poses and stretch and get in your zen, where you're just taking all the stress from the world and leaving it outside to go in there and get your body and mind connected. And these dumb white women want to put a sign that say ICE out. ICE have nothing to do with yoga studios. If ICE have to come in a yoga studio because of legal reasons, they can come in a yoga studio, kick your door in, and pull up in there. Why do you have to put that on somebody's business? And they said take it down, and you demand that they still make political statements that can probably get them in legal trouble. Roll the clip.
Class, and this person, Delaney, was there to meet me at the front door, opened the front door for me, and said that she was there to hear any concerns that we had as a community. And I told her then calmly, kindly, that what our concern was, and that I wanted her to back up instructors, and that I wanted CorePower to understand that in Minneapolis we were really going through it, and we would like our yoga studio to support us in this moment. She completely ignored me. She didn't offer even one thing, not a like, we will circle back, not anything. Just said, have a great class. So then we have a class, and during that class, our instructor tells us this will be her last class at CorePower Yoga. Now, you should know the flowers that are on the counter right there, those are for me. I had made those for my favorite instructor and brought them there that morning because I knew that she'd been having a rough week with all of the situation. I just wanted to encourage her. I also, every single class that I take at CorePower for years, have taken the time to clean up the weights and to clean up things that anybody leaves messy, because I know that the set people don't make a lot of money, and I always want to be able to support people who have to clean up. One of the people in the class said to me, you know what, we shouldn't put our weights away today. We should let corporate clean it up.
Stop, please. Can I say this? Lord, forgive me. I hate these people. They're evil, narcissistic nut jobs. How do you fix your brain and your mouth to act like you are suffering from ICE when you white ladies don't even live in the area? They live somewhere in a gated community and talking about their suffering and struggling because of what ICE is doing. You ain't even, what are y'all doing? All right, the yoga studio responded. I couldn't listen to her no more. Do you know how crazy you have to be for you to say, because the studio wants to be impartial and they don't want political stuff going on at their studio, which means that you may think ICE is the Gestapo. The person over here has a family member that's in ICE that's a good person and it has done nothing wrong. Are you open for both of those voices to be heard at the yoga studio? Obviously not. So you're a nut. And then you go, it's about me, 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 me. So I'm not going to put the weights away because I feel a certain way. You really going to treat these young people in that yoga studio like that who's barely making any money? That is so... It's a mental illness what these white ladies are dealing with. And I'm not saying it's only exclusive to white ladies. It's just these dummies. All right, roll the clip.
I tried to call CorePower Yoga, I think 3 times over the next 48 hours. I wanted to let them know my opinion. I thought that they would be interested in what I had to say. That's what they said corporate was there for. I was never able to get a response. I was never able to get an email or a phone number of anyone in management. Nobody was able to answer any questions for me. And then I got this letter, this email, letting me know that I've been permanently revoked and not allowed to practice at CorePower Yoga anymore. And I just want to say, like,
Good.
you know, I don't agree with their stance that they only want to keep a safe space for the predominantly white and maybe wealthier customers. I want our city and everyone that is in it and every single business that makes money in it to stand with our neighbors. It does matter to me. And I'm not just saying this from like one place. I'm saying this because like I care about our neighbors and their experience. And also, just to be clear.
Just time out. Let's get to the next story. Just know that this lady is so ridiculous. She keeps going about the same thing. I know people like this. It's a mental illness for you to act this way. Wealthy white people. Like, you're white, dummy. All right, let's move on. All right, let's go to the halftime fallout because it's a lot of material here, and I'm finna run out of time. Let's just get right into this, and then we're going to get to the Olympic dummies in a second. But let's go to the halftime fallout. Let's start with clip 602, which Donald Trump had to say on True Social about what happened during the halftime show, which is continuing past the halftime show, right? I thought it was all over yesterday, but I guess it's not. Or 2 days ago. All right, I can't see it. So Grant, can you read that for me?
Yes, sir. The Super Bowl halftime show is absolutely terrible, one of the worst ever. It makes no sense, is an affront to the greatness of America, and doesn't represent our standards of success, creativity, or excellence. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying, and the dancing is disgusting, especially for young children that are watching from throughout the USA and all over the world. This quote-unquote show is just a, quote, slap in the face to our country, which is setting new standards and records every single day, including the best stock market and 401ks in history. There is nothing inspirational about this mess of a halftime show, and watch. It will get great reviews from the fake news media because they haven't got a clue of what is going on in the real world. And by the way, the NFL should immediately replace its ridiculous new kickoff rule. Make America great again, President Donald J. Trump.
I endorse that message, or whatever you say, however you say it. Stephen A. Smith has something to say too, which, you know, Stephen A. Smith has been vacillating a little bit on some of these topics. Nothing against him. I mean, he has a right to say whatever he want to say. But I think I agree with him on this take. Roll it.
If most people don't understand the lyrics because you're speaking it in what they deem to be a foreign language, that is a legitimate point that the president made. That part. That doesn't mean they had a problem with it. I'm just saying his statement that most people didn't understand anything he was saying. There's millions upon millions of Americans that would have wanted to hear something in English other than Lady Gaga. That is true. And me personally, been nice to see J-Lo out there. Been nice to see Shakira out there. Been nice to see a few people celebrating their Hispanic heritage, no doubt. But it also would have been nice if some of the songs were in English. That's all. The president is speaking on behalf, or was speaking on behalf of tens of millions of Americans who are like, I didn't understand a word he was saying because I don't know Spanish. That is a valid point. That is.
Y'all just imagine this real quick. Thank you, Stephen A. Just imagine this real quick. How ridiculous and stupid this is. What if the president did the State of the Union address in Spanish? Like, wouldn't that be silly to do something like that? Wouldn't that be a turnoff to most Americans because they don't have no idea what he's saying? And they didn't put subtitles on the TV. We had absolutely no idea what he was saying. We had no idea. And somebody told me the reason that they didn't put subtitles because the lyrics to some of them songs was real raunchy. As you see two dudes grinding on each other. All right, let's get to Ana Navarro, who's a complete nut. I heard she was crying about this. Was she crying about this one or something else? I wrote a clip.
Maybe the reason that Trump doesn't like Bad Bunny is because Bad Bunny, unlike him, isn't a Nepo trust fund baby. Yeah. Just 10 years ago, this is amazing to me. Just 10 years ago, Benito Martinez Ocasio Bad Bunny was bagging groceries at a supermarket in San Juan and uploading his music to YouTube. And 10 years later, here
Living the
he
American
is at the
dream.
biggest stage in the world. And one of the things he said in the concert was, in the halftime show, was that the reason he was there is because he had belief in himself. And he urged the rest of us to believe in ourselves. And every time.
Time out. That was profound. But you know why it wasn't profound? Because we didn't know he said it because he said it in Spanish. I'm there because I believe in myself. Okay, say it in English so we can get the exemplification of what you're trying to say. All right, let her finish, man. Roll it.
Bad Bunny has gone on stage from the very beginning when he started getting awards, when he started going to concerts. He always thanked the Latino community that was behind him. And last night, he delivered. Every time he's gotten asked how you feel about the Super Bowl, the word that came out of him was grateful. I got to tell you, when I saw Ricky Martin come out there, and I mean, that.
All right, I'm done with you, baby. Let's go to the next person because I'm about to have a stroke. Sonny Hostin, let's see what she had to say. Roll it.
You know, it was in Spanish, and I didn't understand any of it. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Everybody was down with the Macarena when it came out, and they were all on the Carnival cruises, and they were doing all of this, and they were doing all of this, and everybody was fine with it. You know, I think what's so interesting to me is, you know, this country seems to be one of the only countries in the world that is so proud of being monolingual and not being able to communicate in more than one language. And the fact of the matter is, in about 20 years, multi-ethnic people will be the majority in this country. So if you don't understand Spanish, maybe start taking a little Duolingo course and learn.
Well, if you don't understand English, how about you take a Duolingo course? Do you know how stupid that sounds for you to say, you don't understand English? I mean, you don't understand Spanish, you need to learn Spanish then. Well, if you don't understand English, you probably need to learn English. What are you saying? He don't know English. So he need to learn English too. All right, we got another Whoopi Gold turds. Let's play her clip real quick.
If you didn't get anything, that's okay. All those things are okay. The truth of the matter is, you're not a large majority, and that's the mistake we make. You are not a large majority. You're loud, but you're not the largest majority.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the people who say, well, this is not an American thing. This is not this. This is, you shouldn't be doing this. Those are not the majority of people. The majority of people are doing.
All right, these wicked witches on there just talking crazy. I'm running out of time. I got about 8 minutes. I want to show y'all how ridiculous these Olympic people are before I get up out of here. Ridiculous. They better be glad they live in America. Because they live in any of these countries, they be throwing them off buildings and stuff. Or putting them in gulags and all kind of stuff for the stupidity of disrespecting their own country. Let's get to this clip, 409, real quick. Roll the clip.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm proud to be here to represent Team USA and to represent our country. But we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention what's going on in Minnesota and what a tough time it's been for everybody.
A tough time.
This stuff is happening right around where we live. And I am a lawyer, as you know, and we do we have a constitution. And it allows us to freedom of the press and freedom of speech, protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures, and makes it that we have to, you know, have probable cause to be pulled over. And what's happening in Minnesota is wrong.
You don't need probable cause to be pulled over. Time out. Where did he get his law degree from? You need to go get a refund. You don't need probable cause to be pulled over. You need reasonable suspicion. That's all you need. You don't need probable cause. Probable cause is associated with an arrest. You don't need to be able to make an arrest just to pull somebody over. What are you talking about? The thing is with ICE, they have a search warrant signed by a judge, you idiot. And that gives them the ability to go into somebody's house. That gives them, that's why they know where they're located at. They're not just walking around and Where the Mexicans at? Doing it. They ain't doing that. And let me tell you this, and I'm going to yell in the face of anybody that try to deny this. You have the right to peacefully protest. You do not have the right to break the law. You do not have the right to thwart other people's constitutional rights. What crack, cocaine, meth, speedball, George Floyd concoction are you doing to make you think that make any sense? If I was going to protest Joe Biden, I'll protest him on the sidewalk with my sign and I'll put it up there and I'll say what I got to say on my platform. No effing way in the world am I going to run up on Joe Biden with Secret Service in a way and try to do something. Why? Because they're going to beat me like I stole something. Same thing with ICE. When they're actively engaging in an investigation, take your narrow behind out the middle of the street and go stand on the sidewalk and protest. Let me say this, and tomorrow I'll finish this because I only got 5 minutes left. Tomorrow I'll come back and finish it. No, I won't, because I ain't got a show tomorrow. I guess we just ain't gonna finish it. Listen to me. It is bizarre to me that these Olympians are that stupid. And in post-production, Nick, I want you guys to just play these Olympians. Just so you guys know, because I got to get out of the studio, but after I'm finished saying what I got to say, I'm going to play the rest of these Olympians so you can hear how stupid these people are. And then we're going to do that in post-production when we upload the video. But, like, why are these Olympians and other people not talking about the fact that these people have a signal chat where they're running license plates and they're stopping civilians in the road, checking ID, blockading people from entering into communities? That is illegal. And then they're following ICE agents to blockade them at random locations. They have no idea who they're going to investigate. They have no idea who they're going to arrest. I'm talking about murderers, rapists, thugs, people wanted for murder in their own country, people that have been deportation orders. I mean, you name it, they got it. And these dumb, ignorant white liberals are running their cars in front of these, ramming into them and everything. You know, Alex Purdy, before he got smoked like a brisket, he was over there kicking the taillights out of, spitting on them. For what? Why are you spitting on people and kicking taillights out? That is a crime. That ain't got nothing to do with protests. That ain't got nothing to do with standing up to be Americans and community. You are a devil. And you got a gun on you. And I hate to say this. People tell me not to say it, but I might say it anyway. 2 + 2 is 4. You F around, you're going to get yourself killed. You thought it was a game when you were laughing and joking and hot-siding and talking crazy to the ICE agents, and then you hit one with a car and died. You thought it was all funny because some fool done pumped you up to you to walk around and I'm a nurse at a veterans clinic. They pumped you up to tell you it made sense for you to attack these men and women who are also citizens of this country, who sworn to uphold the Constitution. You did not swear to do nothing. These men put their lives on the line every day. They're way more valuable to this country than a fake nurse at a veterans clinic that's probably biased as heck. And they're going to doing their job, and you think you're going to intervene with them detaining a woman and fight them, and you die like a coward. Can I just say that? Quit playing with these people. They not playing with you. This is not a game. This is not a circus. These people are showing up to do real work and real business. If you keep effing around, you're going to lose your life out there for what? Show me one of these illegals that are at your funeral. Show me the illegals that are out there protesting, or Hispanics. It ain't number white people out there. Show me black people out there protesting with you. You stupid idiots are getting killed for Jose, who killed somebody and raped a kid, and you died over that person. You know how stupid you sound? And y'all dying like cowards in the middle of the street for nothing. I wish, I got to get out of here. I got 1 minute. I wish that ICE was as bad as they say they are. I wish they were, I wish that they were bad. Because it'll make more sense that not that many people in our country are that stupid. I'm like losing faith in the country. Like you telling me you haven't looked at no research? Even Scott Galloway, I bought his book, and I'm not going to read it no more. I'm going to burn it. That man who I respected, I thought had a lot of insight and intelligence, I really looked up to him. I sent him a message on Instagram and said, man, I'd love to have lunch with you one day. This man, I'm going to end it on this, the most disappointing day of my week. This man got on the television in the interview and said, ICE is out here killing a mother who dropped her kid off and killed a nurse at the Veterans Clinic. That's how Scott Galloway framed what ICE is doing. That man has so much intelligence and knowledge, but some reason to make Trump look bad or to virtue signal, they just lose their whole salvation. I wish that ICE was out here violating people's constitutional rights, but they're not. It's a farce. It's a lie. Some people are getting arrested, maybe, and they shouldn't, but that's like 0.0 something percent. They deported 600,000 plus people. Over 2 point something million people have self-deported. They've arrested maybe 100 people that they shouldn't have arrested. Bro, that happens. All right. I could rant for 13 years straight about this, but I got to get up out of here. I want you guys to stay tuned and watch the rest of the clips that we're going to play of all the other Olympians who were nut jobs. And I want you to comment on what they had to say. But for the people that are watching this live, I love you. I appreciate you guys coming and watching the show. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, like and subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications anytime my live stream comes on. And also shout out to everybody that purchased Verdict. The best bourbon I've ever tasted. And I'm telling you, go look at our reviews. Go look at the reviews on verdictbourbon.com. I told you I wasn't playing. Like we literally hit a masterpiece and sold out literally the first week and a half, gone. Whole inventory gone. And people hadn't even tasted it yet. Now it's going to be gone. But two things to look forward to, because I don't think we're going to be able to keep the Verdict in stock at all. I don't think we're going to keep it in stock. You're going to have to be the first one to get on there, get on the list. So when we launch it, you get it because it's going to be gone. And we're going to have some signed versions of it. We're going to launch. So stay tuned. I'll let you know when we're going to do that. We only have maybe 120 of them that we're going to do signed. I want to do specifically for the loyal people that love it. And it's going to be a collector's item for you. And then I want you to go on right now because they're in pre-order. I think we'll get it before March, but they'll come back in March. And you better get on the list. You better get on the email list. You better be ready because as soon as we launch it, they're going to be gone. I'm telling you. All right. I love you guys. God bless you. God bless America. We're out of here.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47